What up? It's your boy T-Bird here with a reaction. Today is Wrestling Wednesday. So, make sure it's something real quick. Alright, cool. So, the big story right now that's going on with WWE recently is the recent walkout of Sasha Banks and Naomi, who's currently the WWE Women's Tag Team Champion, after they were supposedly put into a six-pack challenge to earn their opportunity for a Raw's Women's Championship opportunity, which included Asuka, Becky Lynch, as well as the new team of Dual Drop and Nikki Cross as well too. Now, I'm not sure. The reason I haven't covered anything yet on this, even on the past, because I don't know the whole story about what's going on. So I tried to look for the best source in there, and I decided to go with Polana. Like I said, Polana put us some good stuff. You know what I mean? The only time I had an issue with Polana was the WWE Babyface Sucks thing. But he has a video I definitely want to check out to see that I have a little problem with too. We want to react to later. But I want to get the story. So I'm going to get two of his videos involved in this situation. First, the Sasha Banks walk out on WWE. He put Sasha Banks in there, said, you know what I mean? And there's other way he said I can't support WWE anymore, where he's involved in the Sasha Banks and Naomi. So a lot of folks saying that they walked out because they didn't like this, the creator of this whole situation. You know what I mean? And I have my gripes with WWE anyway with their booking their creators at times as well too, especially with the lineman situation and everything as well too. How they treating certain linemen compared to the others, especially you know what I'm talking about. And or everything gotta be a reason. Like they think they get this what work before should work for everybody else, which it doesn't. You know what I'm talking about? With certain terms work for everybody, mainly heel terms. I mean, of course, we heard no work for Rock and all that, but it don't work for everybody. So they don't know how to change. They keep spinning their own wheel in a hamster wheel with their products and stuff as well too. But anyway, and of course the releases and them being so invested in Roman Reigns at the moment meant that it's like taking the focus out of other people. Trying to keep my balls out the way. But anyway, let's get into this right now. First, we want to check out the 5-minute video of Sasha Banks of the situation when it happened and following. So let's get it, see what's going on with this.
The original main event of Raw was supposed to be a six-pack challenge between Sasha Banks, Naomi, Becky Lynch, Asuka, Doudrop, and Nikki ASH, with the winner receiving a title opportunity for Bianca Belair's Raw Women's Championship. In the middle of the programming, it was changed to a #1 contender singles match between Asuka and Becky Lynch. Wrestling fans expressed their confusion online, on Twitter, and other apps over the course of the next hour. The dirt sheets provided us with a report that suggests Sasha Banks walked out on Raw, forcing the company to change their plans. This is what the report says via PW Insider. The word making the rounds backstage at the taping is that Sasha Banks took issue with some of the planned creative for the original main event, a Raw six-pack challenge, to determine Bianca Belair's next challenger at Hell in a Cell. Banks had a meeting with Vince McMahon, and the belief amongst those we've heard from is that when McMahon didn't choose to change direction on the plans, Banks made the decision to leave the taping. Naomi, her WWE Women's Tag Team Championship partner, left with Banks even though she was also booked to be in the main event match. WWE quickly shot several new segments with Adam Pearce and Becky Lynch to set up Asuka versus Becky Lynch as the new main event. This is a developing story, so there may be additional updates. Wow. If this is true, this is a very interesting story that could possibly shake things up. I'm sure WWE wanted to save Asuka versus Becky Lynch for another pay-per-view, but now instead they are forced to have the match tonight on Raw. It is strange that WWE just didn't decide to enter two different women into the match rather than making it a singles match. Zelina Vega and Carmella could have easily replaced them. If I'm WWE, I'd figure out a way to make both women win the match, or have a faulty finish like that, or something along those lines, so that you can set up a triple threat match.
Yeah, and this is the thing I don't get. I mean, I would love to see a match between Bianca and Asuka. That would be a good matchup, but but it's a face versus face. I would love to see that, though. I don't mind it at all, but I'd rather it turned. Hopefully, there's something happened that turned to a triple threat and anything. Because one, I don't have to feel like either Asuka or Bianca have to force a turn, which shouldn't happen in the first place. Folks was saying, especially when folks been wanting the turn from Bianca. I kind of hope not her. If one of the two had the turn, I'd rather be Asuka than Bianca, because Bianca's been being too good of a good role model for her to be a heel turn and when it look right. You know what I'm saying, her being a role model to kids and everything, and she becomes a heel, that wouldn't look good. That wouldn't be a good look at all. So I'm just hoping like a triple threat happens, so the matchup between them don't turn into something bigger, or less it to be like, because I'm confident, because I'm not confident how WWE handles face versus face as much. Sometimes they're leaving face as versus face and keep it at that. They've done it with the Street Profits right now. One website jumped the gun thinking they're heel. They didn't turn heel. They just showing they're just showing that they're not about to be run down over about another team, right? They're like, look at us too. They're tag teams that should be fighting for the titles as well too. But like I say, I'm hoping as triple threats happen, the Bob Becky to make it a no chance for either Asuka or Bianca to turn or anything, or hopefully the match that do happen and neither one still don't turn. But that's the only thing about this. But I agree they could have put Carmella and Zelina in it though, because Zelina, who's supposed to be the queen of the ring, has not been in no competition for the title yet in a while. And anything ever since she lost the tag titles, or anything. Not condoning, not for the record, I'm not condoning the heel or anything. I'm just saying off the record. But yeah,
with Belair, Asuka, and Becky, that just sounds like it could be a match of the year candidate. Imagine it takes.
I think like I said, he just said it. Hopefully, it'd be a triple threat. I still think they should make it a triple threat somehow. Becky found some way to do it or anything.
Inside the Hell in a Cell, that would just make it even more insane. Aside from the outcome and the result of this breaking news, it does make you question what exactly happened with Sasha Banks. Was the finish of the match really that bad, or did Sasha just overreact? Since we don't have too much information yet, I'm going to say that we really don't know. However, part of me feels like Sasha Banks takes her character very seriously, and if she really felt like this was going to damage her character or even her tag team run right now, I totally understand. I don't think Doudrop or Nikki ASH was going to win this match. I also didn't see Asuka or Becky winning either. That was probably going to be a singles match at the pay-per-view to keep Becky and Bianca away from one another. Therefore, Sasha and Naomi, one of them was going to win the match, and they would have most likely had to pin each other. I can see Banks not wanting to do that because she wants to protect the tag team. Sasha Banks is very dedicated in making those titles mean something, and you can tell that Vince already doesn't care if he wanted one of the champions to beat the other champion to challenge for the Raw Women's title. That's
a good idea, see, and that's the other thing why I say I'm standing with it. So you know the full story about this. I'm standing with it. I had a feeling that it's gonna be one of them tagging each other or anything, and I'm glad she won the tag team, because it's always been especially there's always been rumors that. For God forbid, I don't want this to happen. God forbid, I do not want this to happen. I don't care what anybody say. Folks are so intense with the bloodline, they want this to happen. I don't want Naomi joining the bloodline, alright? The bloodline needs to just we don't need no more bloodline right now. We don't need no more bloodline. I don't care. You don't need no more bloodline. You like it, whatever. I don't like the bloodline. It's just, unless you're going to turn that bloodline face down the line, no more people join the bloodline. Let this thing die down for a minute and then revamp as face, at least. All right? Because you saw what happened with her business, where you run that shit down and look what happened to her business. So yeah, don't, man. Just leave it be. Let Naomi do her thing, though. Let Naomi do her thing, this tag team titles, whatever, and they don't do that. Another suggestion, please. And this is off the subject. This is me talking wrestling. Please do not make this so predictable that is going to kind of low key kill this moment right here. Do not have Finn turn on AJ, man. Let us enjoy the club for a little longer. Don't make it a one-time thing, then he turns and joins Judgment Day. Don't do that. Just go with the plan. Go with your original plan. I'll have a Ciampa join in, and then we have another person to join in, or if it's Ali, or even T-Bar back as the dominant Dijak to even up score. Who knows? But yeah, don't let Finn join Judgment Day. Please don't. But back on this.
is a bad look because it makes their titles feel less important and insignificant. It seems like Banks decided to protect her current title reign as well as the prestige of the women tag team belts.
And she has every right, because WWE, I'm gonna be honest, WWE has just been throwing the women's tag team title for both the main roster and NXT just to give us something to. It's just to shut up and take the money. Shut up and take our money type of thing right there, like us, or shut up and dribble situation, like shut up. We got women's title. Stop bitching, something like that. But they're not really doing anything with them. Like they're like the least looked at titles right now. They're just as almost slowly relevant as the 24/7 title right now, which is sad.
I respect it, to be completely honest with you.
Yes.
On top of that, if Banks was scheduled to win, she was just going to take a big loss to Bianca again.
Yeah.
There's really no point in having her lose another important match. I understand that McMahon doesn't really care to book her like that, but she clearly does and values herself. Right now, with what I think the story is, I'm on Sasha's side for this, unless we get new information that could change my mind. Until then, I'm on Sasha's side. And as I finished wrapping up this video, there was a WWE statement that came out, and I will read it to you guys right now. It says, when Sasha and Naomi arrived at the arena this afternoon, they were informed of their participation in the main event of tonight's Monday Night Raw. During the broadcast, they walked into WWE Head of Talent Relations John Laurinaitis' office with their suitcase in hand, placed their tag team championship belts on the desk, and walked out. They claimed they weren't respected enough as tag team champions. And even though they had 8 hours to rehearse and construct their match, they claimed they were uncomfortable in the ring with two of their opponents, even though they'd had matches with those individuals in the past with no consequence. Monday Night Raw is a scripted live TV show whose characters are expected to perform the requirements of their contract. We regret that we're unable to deliver as advertised tonight's main event. This is actually wild. I don't remember WWE ever releasing something like this in the past. It is absolutely crazy. And you know what? All I have to say is that I think I was right in terms of how Sasha Banks felt like she wasn't being treated with respect when it came to her being a tag team champion. Vince McMahon just doesn't care enough about those belts, which shows you that he never cared about Banks in the first place. He just put her in that tag team division just because it makes her feel special. But at the end of the day, he doesn't book it like that. And kudos to Sasha Banks for stepping up and saying, like, no, you traded these belts like trash for the last year, for the last few years, ever since the installment of it. So I'm going to stand up to you and tell you, no, you're doing a bad job. Treat us with respect. So I'm going to have to clap for that. I'm just saying, I respect what Sasha Banks did. A lot of people are going to come out here and call her and Naomi a bunch of brats and whatnot. But at the end of the day, they respect themselves as individuals in this business more so than Vince and all the other writers. I don't know about walking out. That's kind of crazy, but at the end of the day, that's what happened. And hopefully this does not lead into any firings. Like if Sasha Banks is released because of something like this, I don't know what to say. I will be completely shocked and done.
Another thing, good. Oh, I'd be good for you to watch right there. That who should the throne Roman Reigns, because I'm a little tired. I've been tired of that. But he said it. He said the best right there. He said the best. That the championship, the tag team champion for the women's has not been relevant as well as the men's. Well, the men's been very relevant recently with the whole feud with the RK Bros and Usos though. But crazy, it took a big feud to include the current undisputed champion, whatever, to make it happen though. That's the problem with that. And then with this women's tag team champion, you gave it to them so we can have just to give us an excitement moment, give us a shock value excitement moment that we have the black women's champion, tag team champion, as well as the black Raw champion, Black Power and everything, just to get our hopes up, and then let us down with not making the championship that relevant as usual. Now, I mean, it was first made excitement that the tag team champions happened in the first place, then the people win it, then we barely remember who held the title at the time. So yeah, so it's another video. It's gonna be a little longer. I'm gonna go along with Cole. I can't support WWE anymore, which is about the whole Sasha Banks and Naomi walkout. So let's hear what we got to say about this.
I feel like we evolved into so much more just being away from each other for a little bit, and we brought that together and just came together and made so much momentum at WrestleMania. We made history, and I feel like having these tag team titles we just have so much more that we want to do and so many more doors that we want to open. So we're just getting started, and I can't wait.
We want RK Bro. We want the Usos.
We do want them, for real. I feel like we are the best tag team in the world, and that's why people are too scared to be a tag team in the women's division. We have no competition, so we're looking for everybody. If there's any women in the NXT UK that want to come out tonight, we'll accept any challenge. We'll come to the NXT UK, we'll come to NXT in the WWE, Raw, SmackDown. We're just looking for anybody. So it's up to the competitors out there. We're looking for a fight, so it's up to y'all.
And that's another thing. That's another thing. This is another thing. That's another thing. The whole women's tag team division is very small. The majority of them are tag teams that have been put together, not actual teams. Like the very little actual teams y'all had, you kept breaking them up and releasing them. One of them be the Iconics. Another one, that's so. They could have been a good run right there. What was it? Ruby. The Riot Squad, they was a good team as well too, and everything. Even with and then NXT is just about the same too. Like you're holding on to Toxic Attraction, but you're not giving Team Ninja, Cassie and Kate. Well, what's her name now? Katana and Kaden. They should have been tag team champions as well too, and everything. You just keep put together teams just to take titles off of teams and everything. Like they're not too focused on tag teams anymore as well too. Even some of the men's is on them as tag team in there as well too. Though some of them are put together teams. It's like at least NXT are good with the tag team division there. But let me not make this video longer than it is. Let's keep going.
It's happened again. I can't support WWE anymore. Well, at least in this situation with Sasha Banks and Naomi. I think that the WWE and Vince McMahon are in the wrong, but despite that though, I see Sasha Banks and Naomi both getting slandered across social media. So yeah. I decided to hop on here and make a video defending the women tag team champions. In my video yesterday, we did not have too much information, but that has changed. We've had a ton of updates since then. Sasha Banks and Naomi were reportedly upset with their creative plans for the last few days. It wasn't a random incident that transpired over the course of just yesterday. They were unhappy with the way they've been booked thus far as champions. And it got to its boiling point last night when Naomi was scheduled to win the six-pack challenge. The plan was for her to face Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship, while Sasha was most likely going to get involved in a feud with Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's title. Those were the two matches penciled in for the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. And I think that's pretty dumb. What does this accomplish for...
That don't make sense at all. That don't make sense at all. Like I said, I'm all for face versus faces matches, but that don't make sense at all. What reason? I know Naomi versus Bianca would be a good match. I would love to see that. But the Sasha Banks part, I can see why. What reason for her to feud with Ronda Rousey over there? Unless you want to change Ronda as a heel or whatever. What's the point of that? You know what I'm saying? Why? If anything, you got... Right now, you got Ronda giving open challenges right now. I don't mind it, but hopefully, you could at least save that and lead to Bayley coming back. And you know, I kind of want to face Bayley back. I know they're not going to do it no time soon. So I guess when we have Hill, Bayley, or anything right now going at it or anything. So I get that. Probably had a Hill Bayley coming back. That would have been better than giving Sasha a random feud for Ronda for no apparent reason or anything. But That is dumb. That is dumb. I mean, as much as I would like to see Naomi versus Bianca, that'd be a good matchup. No, it doesn't need to be. It doesn't. Neither of the matches need to be honest. Don't need to be a pay-per-view matchup. To be honest, though, if that would have happened, no, that's something you do on a Raw show, not on a Hell in a Cell. No, it's not. It's not worth it. Much like I said, much I want to see Naomi versus Bianca. I don't think that should be like more of a pay-per-view, more of an exhibition title match, meaning that chances are the Bianca to put Naomi over a little bit to say that show that she's a championship contender still, but still take the win, and then have a big feud, another matchup with her and Beck, maybe not, with her and Megan Hill to go against in the Hell in a Cell, but we'll see. But this video is already long as it is. Let me keep going.
for those challengers. Sasha and Naomi were literally just going to eat some pins for no reason.
That's exactly. They were NP for no reason. Like it's like, and why make it for a pay-per-view? That's not something to make a pay-per-view anyway. You know what I'm saying?
I really don't see this benefiting either woman.
It doesn't.
If anything, a big loss like that is just a bad look for their characters.
Exactly.
Not only that, but it makes their titles look meaningless. Like if they are the tag team champions, but they're searching and going for other gold, that clearly means they don't care about their current gold.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It just like if they have no program, they don't talk about the women tag team titles, but they're going after the Raw and SmackDown titles.
Why?
Those are clearly important titles, and the ones they're holding are not. This is what made Sasha Banks unhappy. The Women Tag Team Championships is the most unimportant title in the business right now. The belts were only defended at 2 pay-per-views in the last year, and that is kind of nonsense. Vince McMahon really thought that he could shove Sasha Banks into this division and still continue to treat it like garbage, but that doesn't slide with Sasha Banks. She won't accept that shit. The woman respects the business way too much. Like all the greats from the past, she does not want to be booked like trash. Nobody wants to be booked like trash, especially when you know you are very talented and have a lot of value. Sasha Banks has so much potential to become one of WWE's biggest stars ever. I talk about how I believe she can be the second top star in the company right behind Roman Reigns because I could see her thriving in Hollywood if I'm being totally honest with you. Sasha Banks has already planted those seeds with Star Wars and her appearances on shows like Good Mythical Morning, Hot Ones, or even most recently, Cold as Balls with Kevin Hart. There is nobody that can touch her in regards to pop culture, and I'd even argue and say that she's doing it better than Roman Reigns right now. If the WWE treated her like the undisputed champion, I honestly think she'd be in box office movies. Sasha, the WWE Women's Champion in an MCU film, could be her bright future, but instead she's stuck in the mid-card purgatory because WWE has been holding her down her entire career. Banks decided that it was enough and she wanted to speak up, and I'm glad she did. Vince McMahon has been doing this girl dirty for far too long. And honestly, it doesn't even seem like Sasha cared too much about the matches. That doesn't seem like a big deal. It seems like she was upset that Vince did not want to book a future feud with Nikki ASH and Doudrop after Hell in a Cell.
That would have been a good feud right there. And speaking of that, like I said, I'm not just condoning Hill, but I thought the whole thing where Doudrop and Nikki teaming up was Nikki dropped the superhero gimmick. I mean, why is she only this is like this? Why they still got her as a superhero gimmick? She's supposed to be a heel. That don't make sense. But then let's keep going.
The report went on to state that she was upset because Vince didn't want to book that program. Sasha wanted the 2 women to cost Naomi the title match, kickstarting the rivalry for the future. But McMahon probably didn't want to do that because he doesn't have any plans for the women's tag team division whatsoever. And that is what pissed them off enough.
Hold on, let's say that last part he said about the
drop after Hell in a Cell. The report went on to state that she was upset because Vince didn't want to book that program. Sasha wanted the 2 women to cost Naomi the title match, kickstarting the rivalry for the future. But McMahon probably didn't want to do that because he doesn't have any plans for the
cost him the 6-pack challenge. I get it.
Women's tag team division whatsoever. And that is what pissed them off enough to the point where they wanted to walk away. Sasha and Naomi left their titles because at the end of the day, they're meaningless titles anyways. And therefore they left in the middle of the Raw taping. At this point, you can really side with anyone. Honestly, some will say that the WWE is in the right while others will be on Team Boss and Glow. I think it really depends on you. I'm with Sasha and Naomi just because I feel like those 2 women have not gotten the credit they deserve. They haven't been booked the best, especially Naomi. Let's not even get into Naomi. The woman has been underrated for so many years now. And with Sasha, like I said, she also hasn't been booked the best. Even though she had title reigns, they lasted like 20 days.
Yeah.
Despite all of this, though, it gets even worse when you realize that the WWE tried to lie about the entire situation. And this is the part where I can't support WWE. The story I just went over is what Fightful Slug gathered from numerous people backstage. The WWE actually sent out an official statement explaining why the tag team champions walked out, and it's looking like a straight up lie in order to control the narrative. They're acting like EC3 out here. Let's go over the specific part of the memo. They claim they weren't respected enough as tag team champions, and even though they had 8 hours to rehearse and construct their match, they claim they were uncomfortable in the ring with 2 of their opponents, even though they had matches with those individuals in the past with no consequence. Monday Night Raw is a scripted live TV show whose characters are expected to perform the requirements of their contracts. It makes absolutely no sense for Sasha Banks and Naomi to walk out on Raw yesterday because they felt unsafe working with Asuka and Becky Lynch. That is literally one of the dumbest things I have
Days or two, then that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
heard. Sasha has had a number of matches with both of those women. The same can be said with Naomi. To make up such a lie is just blasphemy at this point. I cannot picture these women walking into the office to tell Vince McMahon that they don't want to work the match because of those ladies and feeling unsafe with them. Like, come on. The WWE is notorious for creating their own stories or rewriting history, and it's looking like that is happening once again. I'm not sure what the motive is either. It appears that WWE could be doing this to try to make the ladies look bad rather than accepting that they are the ones to be blamed for their bad booking of the women's division. And I'm not even just talking about the tag team women's division. Let's say the entire division. If you're not Charlotte, if you're not Ronda Rousey, and if you're not Becky Lynch, you honestly aren't being booked too well. And these other women are getting like 2 minutes.
And the crazy thing about it though, we always thought it was because the 4 horsewomen was taking over everything, but one of the situation is following one of them, and that's Sasha, who's being the short end of the stick though too. Bayley kind of as well too. I mean, well, you know, she made this heel turn. I mean, she's been a little better, but she's been not treating it as bad. But injury kind of short, so we're not sure what's gonna happen when she does come back or anything. They have. The only thing I'm happy about is Bianca. They doing a good job with her. I'm not complaining about it. And all of this was needed for her in the first place because a lot of folks had doubts about her as well too. You should hear the negative comments about Bianca. It's sad.
Minute matches on Raw, and that's a problem. On top of that, the WWE could be attempting to isolate Sasha and Naomi from the rest of the roster in the back. If the other women in the back have beef with them now, they'll work together to outcast them, and that's a bad look. It's also possible that we're just looking into it way too much, and the WWE just didn't want to flat out destroy kayfabe. But if they really didn't want to destroy kayfabe, then I think they would have never put out this statement in the first place. Because honestly, I've never seen this happen before. It was clearly done to create some harm to their reputation. Let's just go back to 2021 when Charlotte and Becky had that beef with the title situation. WWE never put out a statement about that friendship and that beef and that entire situation, but now they're doing it out of nowhere. Like, you know what I mean? That just doesn't make sense. It was clearly done to create some harm for their reputations. The WWE wanted fans to side with them, and that's exactly what is happening right now. I've seen so many tweets about people expressing how they're unprofessional this or unprofessional that. And it's funny because those same people were very quiet when Jeff Hardy acted unprofessional to get out of his WWE contract and then sign with AEW. And nobody said a bad thing about CM Punk when he walked out in 2014. If anything, in fact, people were praising him. But for some reason, Sasha Banks and Naomi have been
adding on to it, there's a meme put out too, how folks was like, praising Tony as well for walking out, but giving Sasha and Naomi grief as well too.
So much heat because they want to be treated better because they've been disrespected for so long, and even more so now with the tag team championships. It doesn't make sense. Like, you gotta make it make sense. Anybody going after them, make it make sense, you know? The WWE even made Corey Graves call them out on commentary. Again, why is WWE decided to blatantly disrespect them? Well, I think it's to paint them as the bad guys, and that is what is happening right now. And because of that, I won't stand with it. I can't support what the WWE is doing. That doesn't mean I can't support WWE anymore, the company as a whole, but I can't support this specific situation. I don't like it one bit, and I hope it does not lead to Sasha Banks and Naomi getting released, because that would just be ridiculous. That would be quite the loss. At this point, I don't know what happens next, because if WWE does not release them, what happens next with the tag team championships? Do they make this a storyline? Honestly, I would love to see the bloodline. I'd love to see Roman Reigns take them in and make them a part of that group, because at that point, then
can we not, like, and this, go ahead, I'm talking.
you make them interesting, then you make them important. Boom, you make them the top thing right there and then. I would absolutely love that story, but I don't think Vince McMahon is going to do that because at this point, he's probably tight as Sasha Banks and probably does not want to book her anyways. So there's a lot of beef going on. The future is uncertain. We don't know if they're getting released. According to a new report, they're not going to, but you never know. It's just a lot of drama has stirred up over the last 24 hours, and it will be interesting to see what happens. But as of right now, I don't support WWE in terms of this fight. I support Sasha.
But yeah, but can you not do that? That's like bad as that's just as bad. That's the reason why I'm already said what I said about them Naomi joining the bloodline. It don't need to be happening like that. You already run that thing to the ground already. Unless you're going to change them as faces, wherever, don't do it. Number one, I'm talking about the bloodline. Number two, the fact you're going to put them on the on that bloodline is like the same you did with Nexus. You put in folks in a faction and making them heel. Put their reason they're who they are because of being mistreated by WWE. So that's one the problem I have with Retribution. The one problem I have with Retribution. Not how they book, how they're supposed to be folks, a bunch of guys mistreated by WWE and everything, but you made them heels. You made them want us to root against them. Like too much. That's a big ass confliction right there. That's one of the problems I have with WWE. When they make certain reasons for a wrestler to be heel, to be something that's not really hellish, not really bad or villainous, and the whole thing about heels and everything, you're supposed to despise them, not agree with them, not relate to them. We're supposed to despise them. You're doing the opposite. And this is why if I gotta make this video long, it is fuck it, I do. But this is why I don't like how folks said you despise you hate the heel, they're doing their job. Sometimes they're not doing their job because you're doing shit to make them relate instead of despise them, where it makes most of us, just put a lot of us in a damn personal dilemma for us being a fan. Like that's especially folks like myself who don't root for the bad guy, but you're making your heel have a reason to be a heel, and it's not as that's very conflicting right there. Like that's very conflicting indeed. Like Retribution won, and then you would have the Sasha and Naomi join the bloodline just because of their mistreatment, make them heel because they were mistreated is dumb. It's like, come on, you're defeating the purpose of heels. The heels are supposed to despise the heel, not support them. You're supposed to despise the heel, not root for them. You're supposed to despise them, and that's been the problem lately with them as well too. Even with the current bloodline as well too, like you're defeating the purpose with them as well too. And they do somewhat the same with AEW as well too. Like currently the situation with Scorpio Sky and then American Top Team and Sammy Guevara, the fans are tired of Sammy Guevara and are relating more to Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page and somewhat Dan Lambert, but you're making them heels. You're making them heels, and we're supposed to despise the heel, but you're making this is also why I always say that. Like, I kind of want the whole alignment system to be either done with it or expand it or do something with it or fix it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's been broken. If it's not, it's broken. It's definitely broken now, but it's been broken. Because even with Roman currently, though, even with current Roman and everything, and then sadly, Cody Rhodes when he was in AEW before he came to WWE and everything, you not doing your job. All right, you're not listening to the fans. You're not listening to fans. I know sometimes listening to fans is a bad thing, but sometimes you have to listen to fans well too to make sense, because you're making shit conflicting for some of your fans, especially myself. That's all I'm gonna say. So the fact they talking about possibly putting them through the bloodline over this is like, come on now, like don't do that. That's just completely defeating the purpose of alignments in general. Right there. That's my opinion. But other than that, if you like my reaction, sorry I made it longer than it is, but that's how it goes. If you like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.